Hi garden lovers, today we're going to be having a little lesson on your irrigation clock. This is the Claber duplo, which means it's got a double outlet here. So basically this is for sort of larger gardens, so we can have an outlet going to one part of the garden and an outlet going to another part of the garden, and so we don't lose pressure in the water, so the spread of water is even throughout the garden. Each plant's getting enough water. So that's what we'll be concentrating on. I'm also going to take you through some shortcuts and a bit of troubleshooting as well. Right, now, if you've just purchased one of these, you've just taken it out of its packaging, you'll open it up, you press these two, there's black dots here either side, you press them in and that opens up. Now, I want you to check, can you see these here? These wires, I need to make sure they're in, because what can happen is if they're not in properly, your clock won't work properly. So make sure that they're in, and that's part of troubleshooting. Put that in there. I need to put my glasses on, that would help. Let's do that. Okay, so they're in, they're nice and tight. You've got your 9-volt battery, and you pop that in there like that, and that sits nicely. Did you hear that click? That's saying I'm on. That battery sits in there like that, nice and snug. I'll turn that round. Oh goodness, that battery sits in there nice and snug like that, and then you can pop this back on. It's new and stiff. Come on, Gertie. That's it. That's in. All the way around. They're in. Can you see? Okay, now we're going to lift up the lid, and what you've got is 000. So this is your clock. So in order to set the time, I'm going to press enter. Okay, and then we're going to press, well, you can either go backwards or forwards depending on the time. So right now I'm 3:43. No, I'm not, that's the wrong clock. I'm 7:05, so it's the 24-hour clock. So it's 19. So 4. You'll watch the clock go around. 19. Actually, almost 5. So I'm going to set it to 19:05. So press enter for OK. Now, this is asking you what day it is. So we've got 1 to 7. So today for me is Friday. So I'm going to pop it on 5 because Friday is the 5th day. Press enter. So we are now on 7:05 on a Friday, day 5. Now what we're going to do is we're going to press the arrow button forward. Now we've got the sign here says open. Right, so we've got the time here, and what we're going to do is we're going to press the arrow forward, and on the clock there it says open just above the second 0 there. So open is for the time that you want your first outlet, being number 1 here. Can you see that? We've got number 1. Number 1 relates to A, outlet A, opening number 1, which is this outlet here. It's the first outlet on your left, looking at the clock. So it's best to water your plants late at night, so that they can drink all night long. So in order to start this, we press enter, and I think I'm going to start about 1 o'clock in the morning. Keep going. One in the morning. I'm going to press enter is okay. So now then we press the arrow to the next to the right, and it's going to ask you when you want to close it. So up here we've got close, and we're still on outlet 1, which is A. So we're going to open it at 1, and I'm going to close it. And normally when I am watering the garden, about 15 minutes should be enough. So enter, and then I'm going to close it at 1:15. 1:15. Press enter for OK. Now I press the arrow again, and now it's asking me if about outlet for the second outlet, which is this outlet here, which is B. Okay, so it's outlet B. So I don't want it to go on straight away at 1:15 because I want the timer to have time to close all its valves to reopen again. So in order for me to open the second one, I'm going to go to 1:30. So press enter. It's already going to 1:15 because that's the time that one opens. So I can move on from there. So I'm going to open it at 1:30. Press OK. And then press the arrow again, and it's going to ask me what time I want to close it. So I want to close. Oh, always press OK. Don't forget the OK. So then press OK, and then I'm going to move to 1:45. 1:45. OK. So that's set now. Now on these timers, you can also have it opening another. A can be open 3 times if you want to. So if you're just doing little small sharp bursts of 5 minutes or what have you, you can do A on 1 for 5 minutes, A on 3 for 5 minutes, or A on 5 for 5 minutes. I'm not going to bother with that, so I'm going to skip past those, and you'll have to just use the arrows to skip through if you're not going to set those up. 6. Okay, so now what we've got here, hopefully you can see that, we've got numbers 1 to 7. So what that's asking you is how many times a week would you like the clock to water your garden? So we're in spring now, so we do have some rain, but we do have some good sun as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it every other day. So we press enter, and you see the OK with a little arrow under the exit sign here. So I'm going to push my arrow to 1, so I'm going to have it watering on Monday. So that's okay, I'm not going to touch anything. I'm going to skip my arrow to Tuesday, and I'm going to press enter, and that will get rid of the number 2. I'm going to push my arrow to 3, skip that, push my arrow to 4, press enter, and get rid of 4. Push my arrow, press enter, and get rid of 5. So I'm going to be watering 4 times a week, so I'm quite happy with that. If you're in wetter parts of the country, then you might want to do it 2 or 3 times a week. So, and when it comes to winter, then you can just set it for once a week. However, these clocks are not really durable in the frost and snow unless they're inside or covered. So I would suggest to take them off in the winter. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to push my arrow to the exit button and press OK. So now my clock is set up for 4 times a week. So I'm going to press my arrow again. Now A, and it's if you see that A and it's got the word manual above A, and then the number 15. So if you've got your clock on and you've set it all up and you're thinking it's a little bit extra hot today, I want to give it a manual watering, it'll do it for 15 minutes. So when you do that, you press enter, and you'll see it says closed at the moment, but when you press it to the left, it'll go to open. You hear that click? That means the valve is opened up. Okay, and that will run automatically for 15 minutes, and you won't have to do anything to the clock. You can just shut that down and walk away, because when that 15 minutes is up, it will just return back to your time on the clock. And again, so if you're going to, because it's a duplo, you've got 2 outlets. So if you're thinking, well, I want to water my garden twice, then when that's finished, or if you just want to just give it a little 5 minutes, when you're finished, you press the back key to closed and then press enter, and that will switch it off. And then what we do is we go over to B, and the same again, press enter, press the back key or the left key to open it, and you hear it click, and that's when it's ready to go. It'll start watering. So for me to close that off, go back to closed and press enter, and then I can come out of that, and then it goes back to the clock. So that is your clock set up, and that's all for that. Yes. Okay, so we've got our clock. It's all set up. Now it's getting close to summer, and I've got my clock on for 2 or 3 or 4 days a week. So I want to change the time, the days of the week, the days that it's running for. So instead of me going through all the setups, we just choose the back key or the left key, and press that 3 times, and that'll take you back to the days of the week. You see, I've got my 4 days there. So I press enter for OK. So I'm coming in the exit, and then I use my back key. I go to the spaces where they're empty. I click on, and then I open or switch on for the days that are closed down. So now I have watering 7 days a week there. So that's great for summertime when it's piping hot and there's really not much rain about. So then in order to close that, I've got to go all the way back to OK and exit, and I press enter, and that means that that's locked in. So that's changing the days of the week.